And Ohio State in the camouflage gray singlet. Nick Bouzakis out there first. The Buckeyes will be in red, and the Hoosiers in green so far today. Off the whistle, both wrestlers into a collar tie. Nick Bouzakis has been dominant this year, 8-1. Moran comes in 9-0. He hasn't faced quite the same kind of competition. The only loss for Bouzakis this year was against his teammate, Brendan McCrone, early in the year. Dropping down from 133 a year ago, the power difference for Bouzakis has really been noteworthy. We've seen a lot from him in terms of duck unders and body locks, using that power advantage over other 125-pound wrestlers. Here so far as the clock now is 45 seconds into this first period. The wrestlers haven't left a 10-foot circle and have barely stood up.
Last year in this duel, Jacob Moran did walk away with the win, with the upset over McCrone. So it could, he definitely did not come to this match backing down, that's for sure.
No, in the Big Ten, if you are willing to back down, this is probably not the place for you. Bouzakis with that heavy on the head, able to turn the corner, caught an ankle and turns it into a takedown, and that's the power. Right, when there is a strength advantage, that's one of those positions where you can really do a lot of damage. Into an armbar situation now. Bouzakis on top, riding hard up 3-0 with a minute and a half to go here in the first period. Cold day here in Columbus, Ohio. We had just a couple of days ago temperatures in the 60s. But that's how it goes in Ohio. If you don't like the weather, just wait a couple minutes. It'll change. Had snow and hail early this morning. Nice and warm here in the friendly confines of the Covelli Center, though. Several thousand Buckeye fans in attendance. Now, it's in a matchup like this, it can be hard to tell how many visiting fans you have because scarlet and gray, cream and crimson.
Yes.
There's a lot of similarities there.
Indiana's just shot down I-70 here, yep. So it's, like you said, it's hard to tell. I guess we'll hear the cheers.
Yeah,
we'll know.
Well, yes.
We'll know.
Yeah, you won't mistake that much. If Indiana does something that the traveling crowd likes, they'll be quite vocal about it, no doubt. Riding time now at a minute for Bouzakis. Clean start off the whistle. Our referees today, Jason Wedgbury is the head official. Matt Sorchiski is the assistant. Going with the blue sleeves. First time I've seen this at a match that I have attended live.
And Moran was 5th in the Big Ten last year. Again, this is a match. This is a guy with a ton of experience. 83 wins in his career.
Well, and showing experience right there. He felt just that little slip of the hips when his hips got free of Bouzakis and was able to take advantage of that to get to the escape. Bouzakis obviously didn't want to give that point up with under 15 seconds left to go in the first period as the clock ticks down now. But it will be 3-1 as we go to the second period. There's the horn. So not a ton of action there in that first period between these two.
Jacob Moran comes in here ranked number 12. He's 9-0. I like him on his feet.
Yeah.
If you watch him, he's got a strong upper body. He goes for these ankle picks that he moves into these double legs. Super strong upper body. And I think probably, as far as matchups goes, maybe Nick's toughest, opponent on the feet.
Bouzakis gets his relatively quick and easy escape point there. Moran from Portage, Indiana. Wrestled at Portage High School, a couple of state championships during his high school days. Grad student. You're talking about a pretty good career so far in Big Ten wrestling.
We can see Nick keeping those ankles away, too. It's nice defensive. It's not like this film isn't readily available out there.
Exactly right.
You know your opponents, know their strengths.
And that was one of the things that Tom Ryan has talked about in terms of what the Buckeyes do in terms of film work. Not a ton of it. They're looking for tendencies more than, trying to break down positional awareness so much on film work. But certainly when you see that and you know that there is a tendency for a guy to go left or to go right, or he's not comfortable in an underhook, well, then maybe those are the kind of things you can take advantage of. Teams like to break that down. Good pass of the arms and in on the shot from Bouzakis. Working toward the finish. Moran trying to roll it through there. Now he's in trouble. He's got that ankle of Bouzakis, but now that ankle slips and Bouzakis on top for his second takedown of the duel. Ohio State went across the country out to Oregon State for their last duel and did not give up a takedown until the 197-pound match.
Yeah, it's unbelievable if you think about just like the strength of this team. You talk about winning the matches on your feet.
Going to hit Moran for stalling there.
Always love when you get hit for stalling and you're giving up points. You're giving up riding time.
The interpretation of stalling in college wrestling was adjusted a couple of years ago, essentially with riding being a big part of college wrestling and being able to earn a riding time point. There was not much impetus for the top man to do anything other than hold his man down. That's changed a little bit. They want that top man to work toward a turn. And when a bottom man gets hit for stalling, there are usually a couple of things going on with that. There's the escape. Bouzakis has built up 2 minutes of riding time, leading 7-2 here. Either somebody is gassed or somebody is just flat dominated. And when that happens, when there's domination and there's a stall call, that kind of makes you feel bad for the guy on bottom.
Yeah, no question. Especially when you're wrestling the number 3 wrestler in the country. I don't know how many options you have.
Well, Moran's going to have to pick things up here. Minute and 20 seconds left. In on a shot now.
Moran's deep.
The hip strength of Bouzakis, though, you can see he's able to extend that with that downward pressure, and now he's got the arm stretched out, and that's going to be tough, and Moran will not get to the finish. Back to neutral.
You don't know how often he's going to be in that positive situation there. You got to take advantage of it when you're there. He generally likes to shuck that, tie over, and then work his way back over the ankles. And as you can see, the defense is just phenomenal for Bouzakis. It's not letting him get to it.
Well, this is where both guys were at in the first period for about a minute. Collar tie, ear to ear, in the center of the mat, both down on their knees. That's a tough place to score from. And if you are leading, that's a good place to be. If you're trailing, you got to find a way to create an opening. And there's only 30 seconds left in the match, down 5 points.
If he could snap and just get inside like he did right there. Yeah.
That was an excellent level change from Bouzakis.
Absolutely. Well, when they're down that low and you work on the head snap and then they pop it back up and he got underneath, that's just about all you can do when both guys are so low in center of gravity.
Clock down to 5 seconds left now. It's going to be a major decision with the riding time point, make it 11-2. And a 4-0 lead for the Buckeyes. That was a very controlled, and even though it's only a major decision, there's only one matchup today where the wrestlers have ever faced each other in the past. This is Logan Frazier going for Indiana, one of 2 Fraziers that they have on the roster at 133 pounds. And Ben Davino, ranked number 2, redshirt freshman, 16-0, and all kind of dominant so far this year.
And Logan Frazier's a little bit of a defensive wrestler. He's, he's sitting at 5-6. This is definitely a climb up a pretty steep hill for him in this match against Davino.
Davino immediately puts him to his back. He got the takedown. Did he get 2? He did get 2 on the near fall as well. So that's a 5-point move from Davino right off the get. And you could see when those guys got to the center and the handshake happened, they were both fired up and ready to go. Frazier, one of 4 wrestlers on this Indiana roster from Crown Point, Indiana. If that sounds familiar to Buckeyes fans, it should. Jesse Mendez, a Crown Point, Indiana native and graduate. Also wrestled at Virginia Tech, did Frazier, transferring to IU. And talking with Angel Escobedo, the coach of these Hoosiers, building that pipeline to the top programs in Indiana is crucial for him and the success of Indiana. It's always easier when you can recruit your own backyard, whether it's from the ability just to hop in the car and drive and go see a tournament or a dual meet, or the money that you can offer somebody. In-state tuition, a lot cheaper than out-of-state tuition. So all those things matter, and they add up.
Yeah, no question about it. You got to dominate your backyard. At least not let someone else dominate your backyard. That's for sure. Davino has 10 tech falls this year. When I see that, that usually tells me a guy's a tactician on his feet.
Well, right into another takedown. Just beautifully executed. The single leg found his angle and gets the finish to go up 8-1. And I think you're right about the tactician portion of that. Obviously, his technique is outstanding. There, a shot from a lot of distance. And if he finishes the takedown here, he has not yet. Get a danger call here? Not yet. Frazier was onto his back. Now the takedown. Third of the match already for Davino. Shooting from that amount of distance, not a high percentage shot in Big Ten wrestling, but Davino's setup and his motion was so good that Frazier wasn't able to react to it quickly enough.
Well, Logan Frazier's going to have to learn to be an offensive wrestler in a hurry, especially in the Big Ten. You can't rely on being a defensive wrestler in this conference.
If you're going to be hard to score on, you better be darn near impossible to score on and have something in your back pocket to get some points in some form or fashion. Davino brings him back down to the mat. First period, 15 seconds left, 11-2 lead, 3 takedowns already for Davino. Frazier trying to get back to his feet before this period comes to a close.
This might be a match where you said don't get Tech, don't get Penn. You know, a major would be a win for Indiana at this weight class.
3 minutes in, it's an 8-point match with riding time exactly at a minute for Davino. He's going to start on bottom here in the second period, so that riding time will quickly go under a minute. But I don't think that riding time is going to be a factor in this one, at least the way Davino wrestled in that first period. Frazier trying to throw that left leg in. If you're comfortable on top, I mean, guys that are really good on top, that have a few turns in their arsenal, they can close a gap quickly, but it's not going to happen here. Davino able to get some upward pressure and quickly to his feet.
I always find it interesting, too, what guys prefer in the offseason, like whether they're Greco or, you know, or if they're whatever styles they're wrestling. It's like that. Then see how it translates to, you know, the folk style.
A good change of direction that time. Davino started to the right, went to the left, and comes away with his 4th takedown of the match. And now we'll see if he wants to ride or no. He wants just to go to his feet. Try and open things up here with a quickness. Frazier trying to find a burst there with a shot fended off by Davino.
Well, Davino's just a redshirt freshman. Just what a career ahead of this young man.
Put together an outstanding redshirt season, wrestled in several events. True freshmen are allowed to wrestle in 5 events before they burn a red shirt, so he wrestled in those and then had several unattached events as well where he's just dominant, and they're just dominating with a go-behind takedown and a quick tech fall. 18-3, the final score. Davino in the second period. Tech's Logan Frazier. And 5 more points for the Buckeyes. 9-0 the team score. A dominant start
in collegiate wrestling right now.
And the leadership that Hannah was talking about, what he means to the room, cannot be overstated. We just watched Ben Davino, a redshirt freshman who's been watching Mendez go about his business for the last 2 years. And you can really see the impact that he has on the rest of the guys in the room.
Well, for Lucas Peters, he gets to see Henry Porter on a daily basis and work out with a number 24 ranked, 141 pounder. So that's definitely a good partner. It's just not Jesse Mendez.
Mendez looking to finish off a takedown here. He and Peters wrestled last year, not quite a year ago. And Mendez got the tech fall, 19-3 in the second period. This is one of only 2. I said 1 when they made the change. Peters actually has a head-to-head matchup, so there are only 2 matchups today through this whole duel where the wrestlers have faced each other at any point in their collegiate career. Just a freight train takedown there. Wasn't even a double, just a throw by into a takedown for Mendez. Gets that score. In on a shot, backs out of it.
Yeah, it's 13 different lineup changes from a year ago. Because even the other matchup that we'll say I don't believe was a dual meet matchup, but sheer strength right there, buddy.
You're talking about Big Brother right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of takedown is just Big Brother in the dining room over the holidays going to work, and now Mendez goes to work on top with a bar tilt. Full complement of 4 back points. Once the referee awards those points, that'll put him up 11. Still has that arm bar. Lost the lock on it. Arm bars, bar half.
Mendez.
Another turn here. You see the influence of Logan Stieber right there on Jesse Mendez. Not sure how many swipes the referee gave him there, but it's enough. It's the full 4, and that is enough for a tech fall. 17-2. Jesse Mendez putting on a show in front of this home crowd. He loves to wrestle in front of the Buckeye faithful, and he makes short work of an opponent here today, tech falling Lucas Peters in the first period.
Short Greco-Roman throws at times. A little bit of a wild card for Indiana.
Both of these guys, Stiles and Butler, they know their way around a scramble. And when you're a scrambler, I mean, you're finding a flow in wrestling. You don't care if somebody takes a shot on you. You know your defense, your scrambling, your flow can get you there. When you wrestle somebody else that's also a scrambler, sometimes you can be a little bit tentative.
Sure.
Because you're not really always sure how to begin the engagement.
Yeah, Joey Butler came out hot at the Midlands, won his first 2 matches there before he hit some, obviously as you go into the tournament, you start fighting some tougher opponents, but it's good to have someone starting out hot. And he has wins against ranked opponents too this year. I mean, he's for someone that's sitting there unranked.
Yeah, on paper, this is a number 4 versus an unranked wrestler. So that usually tells you how a match is going to go. Well, shot there from distance from Stiles. I think that was just an attempt to engage and maybe get some scramble going, because it wasn't clearly a shot that was going to be finished cleanly, but definitely with a guy like Butler, ranked, unranked, he's dangerous.
Redshirt sophomore with 39 wins under his belt, where Ethan Stiles is sitting there with 41. So it's just odd, that you have a guy with that many wins in his career and he's not ranked and just tough. Maybe he's just got to find more of a rhythm and consistency, and that could happen. He's got plenty of time as a redshirt sophomore.
Stiles, redshirt sophomore, wrestling at his 3rd university. Started at Nebraska, then last year was at Oregon State, and when the Buckeyes went out to Corvallis, he did not get a very warm welcome. And now wrestling here in Columbus for the Buckeyes. 2 minutes gone here in this first period, and there's our first real shot attempt. Stiles in on the leg, and of course Butler onto the ankles, trying to funk his way through. Both guys very comfortable in these types of situations. Stiles, though, in a better spot here. If he can clear that ankle, that's going to be points. Now around to the side, has the cradle lock, has the points, looking for back points as well. And there go the swipes. Stiles able to hip over and get on top. Now he's in a really good position, and Butler is in trouble. Still has that cradle lock to the side. Not sure how many back point counts the referee got, but right now he's looking for the shoulders. Stiles trying to finish this match off in the first period. He's got the fall.
That's the risk you take as a scrambler. Sometimes you just get caught, and that's why he's probably unranked. It's like you can win matches you're not supposed to win, but you also lose matches like that you could maybe have been in a little bit longer and put yourself in position to at least lose by decision. I would imagine
Well, confidence certainly is key. When you go into a hostile environment, and a lot of those buildings around the Big Ten are indeed hostile environment, you've got to have complete belief in yourself regardless of who steps on the line across from you. This match starting very much like the 125-pound match. Ear-to-ear collar tie down on knees at the center of the mat, but now they're back up.
You mentioned Ethan Stiles transferring, and you look who he transferred to be in between Mendez and Cannon here. Well, that's why guys transfer. They want to train with the best. You know, they see that opportunity where you can be in between number 1 and number 2 in the country and help you elevate you to be number 4, you know, where who knows where he'd be, you know, if he wasn't training with these guys.
Hard club collar tie there from Lowery, trying to assert his position. Well, for IU, obviously the first 4 matches have not gone the way that they have hoped, but as we talked about in the open, figuring out what is success. Are you winning some of the little battles? Are you putting yourself in position? Are you not following the game plan? You know, that's how you have to look at your program after a dual meet. Not the kind of things you can really think about until well after, when you get to watch the film. But those are the things that can really help a program grow. And I tell you what, Indiana, under Angel Escobedo, a national champion himself for the Hoosiers, they have grown considerably. 6 national qualifiers a season ago. Ranked number 23.
Yeah, 10 teams in the top 25 in the Big Ten, and you're one of them.
Right,
you know, you got to be one of them.
Cannon taking ground near the out-of-bounds line there. And for Angel Escobedo, it's oh, there's a good throw. Did he sink it? Did he collect it? He's got that far side head and arm. Takedown after the danger. We're not seeing back point counts here. Not at the 40. It's so hard from that angle to keep a guy when you're on the. But that's, you know, Cannon finding ways to score. We talked about scoring in bunches. That's just a very unorthodox way to score. With that head and arm, it's normally the arm on the near side. When it's on the far side, you just can't get the leverage, really, to keep a guy on his back. But Cannon did well to hold him in danger criteria long enough to get the takedown to go up 3-0.
And Lowery doing a smart mat positioning wrestling right now. Whenever you're the underdog, you a little bit more aware of your situation.
A quick switch there from Lowery to get on top. 2-point reversal. And Cannon gets free to go back up a pair. 4-2, 30 seconds to go here in the first period. On Indiana, you know, it's with Angel Escobedo taking over. Good. There's a nice shot there from Lowery trying to finish. He's got that takedown to lead this match. That's the first takedown for Indiana today. Their first lead in a match of the day. So trying to create some momentum here, Lowery. Yeah, now we're into a stalemate situation there. Referee had a pretty quick whistle on that to make sure that no time was wasted. But Escobedo in his 8th season coaching at Indiana. Each of the last 2 years, 6 national qualifiers. DJ Washington, an All-American. Washington, one of several veterans lost to the lineup to graduation and moving on from a year ago. And for Indiana, it's kind of a weird thing. They lost a lot of their starters from a season ago. Barry, you talked about the number of different starters for both teams in the lineup. But they're not what you would call necessarily a young team. Not many freshmen or redshirt freshmen in the lineup. So there have been guys in the room that have been learning under Escobedo, I guess you'd call it the Indiana way, how they want to compete, what they want to do.
Well, you know, Ryan, one of the things you could do in wrestling is you have all those open, you know, unattached opportunities. So, you know, if you don't have maybe necessarily some of the resources that Ohio State has, you got to use those other resources.
Great hips there from Cannon with a roll through. When he's on bottom, I mean, there are a few guys. You know, Brendan McCrone not in the lineup today, but he's another one of those for Ohio State where you're very, very dangerous on bottom, and Brandon Cannon is that way as well.
You're looking at this match right now. I mean, they have a recent common opponent in Jones from Little Rock, and the Lowery lost 1-2. Meanwhile, Cannon Tech fall, was a Tech fall over Jones. So for this right now to be at this tight of a match, I mean, it's always tough to do the comparisons.
The transitive property doesn't always work.
Yeah, but that's what we have to do.
That's right.
It gives us something to talk about.
Tied 6 apiece here. Lowery definitely, you talked about it right from the get-go. Showing confidence, coming back from that performance at the Midlands.
And those brackets at the Midlands, as we discussed.
That
big
was
takedown. Yeah.
A fantastic level change, kind of kept that far arm and turned it into a takedown. Lowery was able to bail out before it became back points, but boy, Cannon is just so dangerous from everywhere.
As I was saying, those brackets at the Midlands can be a little deceiving, and by weight, you look through there, but it doesn't matter. If you're going there and you won some big matches and you end up in the finals in that kind of environment, and
absolutely right,
it's helpful.
Cannon's got a leg in on top there, just building a little bit of riding time as the period comes to a close. Just didn't want to have any more points scored there at the end of the second period. 9-6 lead for Cannon. Lowery has certainly been game in this match, and he'll start on bottom. 1:57, our last match before the halftime break here at the Covelli Center.
The strength and conditioning of the Buckeyes has just been so superior, from what we've watched here out of this Buckeye team. They're just so strong. Even when you think they're in a bad situation, they're really not.
Cannon trying to ride hard on top here. Lowery, he started off so well in that first period into the second period. He'll get free to get back to within 2. And doesn't look like there's any starch taken out of him so far. He knows he's one takedown away from, again, having the lead in this match. Riding time at this point is not a factor. And the way that Lowery has wrestled here, certainly for those Indiana wrestlers, there's a stall warning. Cannon trying to finish his takedown near the out-of-bounds line. He will get it. We'll see what effect, if any, that has on Lowery and his demeanor. It's now a 12-7 lead for Cannon, but putting forth this kind of effort has to be a lift to the bench for the guys that are still yet coming up after what had been a dominant run of 4 matches for Ohio State.
Well, yeah, on paper, this match should definitely not be this close. And this is one of those matches that, Indiana has to be excited about. You're within striking distance. 1 takedown, a couple back points.
Cannon gave the uncontested escape to go back to neutral. Now wants to get in on the attack, and he does. Quick takedown. Cannon, well, it looked like he thought about cutting again there. I don't know if he got the word from the corner. Let's ride a little bit, but they're going to go right back to their feet. And again, with a 3-point takedown, you can turn a regular margin into bonus points pretty quickly. He does have 1:13 of riding time with a 6-point lead, 35 seconds to go. Lowery change of directions, trying for his second takedown.
A little scramble.
Did not quite lock up that Merkel with any kind of extension. And so back to neutral they go near the out-of-bounds line with 19 seconds to go. There's a lot to like, I think, about Bryce Lowery.
Yeah, Bryce Lowery's streaky. I mean, he started off with 3 wins, then 3 straight losses, then 3 straight wins. And his last loss in that finals was the number 33, Dylan Evans of Pitt. And that was only a 4-2 decision. So he's on a trend right now.
Cannon's going to finish off this match with a takedown to get back into bonus point territory. 19-9, the final score, a major decision, 24-0, Buckeyes on top. And Bear, what happened here in the first half was domination by Ohio State. You have to tip your cap to Bryce Lowery and the way he came out and wrestled that match against the number 2 ranked wrestler in the nation, but just too much Ohio State. Some questions about who is going to be the guy when it comes time for the Big Ten tournament. It seems like Nick Bouzakis, as we talked about early, has been getting most of the action here lately at 125 pounds. Here at 165, Patty Gallagher has been the man for most of the season, but Ethan Birden is applying some pressure, and the coaches are getting a look at him today against some pretty high-level competition.
Yeah, no question.
This got a finger in the eye there.
Yeah. This is one of those situations where, iron sharpens iron. They get to wrestle each other every day in practice, and people they don't understand that. They just don't understand wrestling. You have not only are you sandwiched in between great wrestlers, but you also have a couple at your own weight class.
Absolutely.
Trying to steal your job.
Yeah, nobody wants to not be the starter, right? This is not a sport where being number 2 is on anybody's list of things to do.
You talk about recruiting your state like Indiana's trying to do. You have Ethan Birden from Dublin, and you got Patty from St. Ed's, and certainly done a great job of getting the best out of the state here.
Birden shooting him off the mat, and Lillard will be hit with a stall warning. Birden, because he has not been the starter for the Buckeyes, is unranked. You can look around at different places. WrestleStat, a website that puts together a lot of statistical information, likes him as a low to mid-20s ranking were he a starter.
Well, he's won 9 out of his last 11 matches. I mean, he's a little bit on a roll right now, finding his way into this lineup.
Well, and you talked about Lowery coming into that match at 157 pounds. His run through the Midlands certainly boosted his confidence. That could be the same for Birden coming off a championship.
Tyler Lillard, just Little Rock, number 6, Matty Bianchi, lost 5-2.
A Merkel position there for Birden, but he wasn't able to get that leg in and get Lillard extended out. He still has that Merkel lock around the head, but that's not going to do him any good. In fact, Lillard is going to earn the stalemate there. Birden looked like he wanted to roll that through. That definitely would have been points. If you can roll that through, you're probably going to get some back swipes as well, but it didn't work out for him.
Actually, Ethan Birden had to lost to Bianchi himself in that dual meet, 3-10. So these guys, common opponent, recent common opponent. I guess they're in the same neighborhood.
Both guys just trying to find a way past some wrist control here.
They're both built pretty similar. They got these slender, long bodies.
Yep.
And sometimes that takes a second. When you're short and stocky, you know what your style has to be, against another tall guy or some situation. But these guys are built similar.
And it works both ways, right? Because as a lanky wrestler, you're in the minority. You're not used to wrestling other long-legged, long-armed wrestlers where you have to cover more distance than you're used to.
That's a good point, Ryan. I never had the problem of being a long, lanky wrestler
you and me
myself.
Both, brother.
I always had the problem of wrestling against those guys.
Right.
It does create an issue, and like you
yeah,
said,
you're usually the one that they have to solve.
Yeah, you don't see too many tall, lanky wrestlers against each other, and especially sitting at 165. Okay.
Looked like we had a momentary confusion about whose choice it was to begin the period. Birden has choice. And so he'll take down. Scoreless after 1 minute. First time we've had a scoreless first period so far today.
Lillard walked away with a W in this meet last year in a major over Brock Herman. One of the few guys to score some of those 12 points.
That's right. 1-0 Birden after that escape to start the second period. Really nothing approaching so far a committed shot. There was a half shot by Lillard, and Birden trying lots of ways to change directions and get behind. And that's going to be enough. That's, I tell you what, really smart wrestling there from Birden. Understanding the situation, knowing where he was on the mat, knowing that there was already a stall warning against Lillard, and just kept that pressure forward and changing directions, forcing Lillard back and back and back, and it earns him a stall point, 2-0.
You talk about IQ wrestling. You know, that's something that Coach Ryan, you're not number 2 in the country without IQ wrestling. You know, you have to teach your guys, you know, when to push that gas button, know where you're at on the mat.
Yeah, that's one of the areas of wrestling is match and mat awareness that can be a separator when you're talking about pretty even talent.
What's amazing about this arena is the availability to see the clock.
Yeah, there's that.
You have the ability to see score, see clock.
An ankle bundle scramble here. Birden comes out with the high ankle.
Look at the flexibility.
Yeah, I pulled a hamstring just watching that. Birden, he's got some options here.
Yeah.
Now with Lillard down on the ground, you probably are not going to get another stall call in this situation.
Wow.
But you just keep the wrestling going there into the full splits for Lillard. And Birden calmly trying to bring that back in while not exposing his own ankles.
I'm not sure which wrestler is showing more patience in that scenario, to be honest with you.
It almost appeared that they were trying to think through the situation. Yeah, that was most guys, Birden, especially with his length, is going to be able to finish right there. But Lillard wrestled it well, also has his own length and the ability, as you were talking about, to go into that full-on split and stretch, was able to fend that off in a way that not a whole lot of wrestlers would be able to do.
It was pretty amazing.
Still 2-0 as we go to the third period. That was the second time that Birden tried that, essentially kind of a drag into a Merkle position. It's come close. Now Lillard pressing forward. And he's got to, right? Down 2-0 in the third period. He's been warned for stalling twice. He has no choice but to try and take some ground here.
Yeah, down by 1. You can't back up at this point, not with those stall warnings.
And that was it. Listen, it's not going to go into box score, but Birden just doing that half-moon circle right there to get his heels away from the out-of-bounds line, incredibly smart.
Birden is 1-0 against Indiana this year. He did wrestle Chase Leach, redshirt freshman from Indiana, Tech Fall.
Lillard taking some ground there. Underhook, threw it by. Now he's got an elevated single. Now in this position, if you're Birden, you can afford to give up a stall warning or something like that. Even if fleeing the mat would keep you ahead by a point. What you don't want to do is give up a takedown. Out of bounds, foot on the floor, and indeed it will be a stall warning.
Yeah, smart play, as you mentioned, Ryan. It's that's another part of the IQ is what's the lesser of two evils in that scenario. Take the stall warning. It's one thing if it's back in the day and 2 points, but 3 points in this match is everything. Under
30 seconds to go in the third period. Lillard again on the shot.
It's deep.
Birden, though, flips the script on him, has the elevated ankle and room to work. He doesn't have to work too much because he leads, and now Lillard diving to the ankles, wants to get into a scramble situation. Birden with that leg underneath. Lillard still has it. And now a danger situation for Birden. And time expires before any danger count. And Ethan Birden, stepping in at 165 pounds, up to the task, comes away with a 2-0 victory to keep the Buckeyes perfect on the day.
Heck of a scramble at that end there, I tell you. Ethan Birden showing some real patience in the hometown crowd, Dublin, Ohio.
He is 10-1 on the year, 76 victories in his Ohio State career.
Derek coming off of 4th place, finish at the Midlands. He's got 70 wins under his belt. This is an area that Indiana feels like they've got to scrap at this weight class. You know, they've got an opportunity.
Kharchla able to get an angle and run that corner, turn it into a takedown here in the early going. 30 seconds in, up 3-1 after the escape.
Well, when I say scrap, when you got the number 4 against number 30, you're saying that, hey, you know.
And there's definitely a gulf there, but Gilcher is a game opponent for Carson Kharchla, no doubt about that. Kharchla in his 7th year wrestling for the Buckeyes. He has endured all kinds of injuries. In fact, for the last couple of years, you'd see him out there with one of those gigantic leg braces. Wrestling now just with a knee pad on that right knee. Again, in on a shot. Boy, that's just finding that angle and that leverage. That switch of the hips there, opening up the hips to try and turn the corner. Didn't result in immediate points, but keeps him in on the attack here. Kharchla, not known as an offensive powerhouse with a lot of varied attacks. He does have some good offense, but oftentimes he is just so positionally sound, incredibly tough to score on, that there's oftentimes a lot of low scoring, controlled matches, but right now he's up 6-1. And we talked about in the last match you had at 165 pounds, a couple of guys long and lean. Kharchla obviously built very powerfully, more stocky, and the same can be said for Gilcher.
Carson was 4th in the Big Ten last year, trying to make an impact this year. He certainly has done a great job winning his last 6 matches. It's only one L to Patrick Kennedy from Iowa.
Well, Kharchla's back here to finish on the podium. All-American in 2022 with a 7th place finish. Fell short a year ago. He's in on a shot now with that, his nose right in the sternum, but not able to hang on to those legs.
Well, Patrick Kennedy also, number 2. So he's got a three-point loss to Patrick Kennedy. That's all he's got on the L sheet.
Good level change, in on a shot with a high C. Kharchla trying to find the right angle to get his 3rd takedown of the match, and he's going to get it. 9-2 after the takedown here at 174 pounds. Kharchla's dad, Moran, Kharchlava, tremendous wrestler in his own right. Always here at the Cavelli Center and has trained a lot of the top wrestlers in Central Ohio for many, many years.
Doesn't hurt to have your dad know a little bit about wrestling.
More than a little, no doubt about that. First period comes to a close, 9-3. Carson Kharchla on top.
Gilcher's three of his 4 losses are to ranked wrestlers, and that's keeping him right on that peripheral of, getting a higher rank. But
and at some point, we talked about how do you judge success for Indiana? You have to start winning some of those matches.
Yes.
Right? You're close. You're in the neighborhood. You have to get over that next hump and turn those close losses into close wins, and then maybe open up that margin of victory against those top-ranked wrestlers.
We certainly get a lot of opportunity in this conference.
You bet. No doubt about it for Indiana. Both of these teams will wrestle Penn State at some point this season. In the Big Ten, obviously, there are not enough dual meets for every team to wrestle everybody else. IU takes on Penn State on the 23rd of January. Ohio State on February 13th. Right here.
Yeah, that one's circled.
Or excuse me, they'll be in Happy Valley,
yeah.
rather.
Yeah, a lot of people have that one circled.
They've got back-to-back duels, the Buckeyes, against Iowa and Penn State. But even before that, I mean, you're talking about you just do not have any cupcakes. There are no easy dual meets when you're running through the Big Ten. The schedule for Indiana after Ohio State, they've got Maryland, then at Penn State, then Michigan State. 2 duels at Illinois and in Wisconsin, at home against Nebraska and Purdue.
A lot of filling out right here to start off.
For the Buckeyes, their Big Ten schedule, starting here with Indiana. They've wrestled Iowa already, but that was not a Big Ten duel. Oh, almost a throw over there.
Yeah. Good movement by Gilcher. Finally get some offense going here for him.
Didn't get the takedown, but now he does. Finishes to the mat. Kharchla quickly to his feet, trying to break that grip. They'll go out of bounds and restart in the center. So now all of a sudden, Gilcher with that takedown.
Yeah.
21 seconds to go here.
Must have heard you talking about you have to get a big win.
Absolutely. You have to find a way to get those points and keep it a close match where maybe something can happen at the end.
Well, he's got 21 seconds here to ride this out.
And that was a good elevation near the out-of-bounds line. You don't want to settle for a stall warning there if Kharchla goes out of bounds. You want to stop that momentum, drop the hips, get a lift, and bring your man back to the mat. And that's exactly what he did. Kharchla with a quick escape goes back up 3 points, 10-7.
It took him 3 seconds to get that point.
And for the Buckeyes, yes, they're ranked number 2, but it is a gauntlet through the Big Ten schedule. They've got another one against Minnesota and Nebraska. They've got Wisconsin, Michigan, Iowa at home. They finish up with Penn State, and then 2 days later at Maryland before the Big Ten championships on March the 7th and the 8th.
It'll be interesting to watch how they prepare for Minnesota and Nebraska, and certainly Iowa. They have to prepare differently, but with 29-6 over Minnesota already and 33-3 over Nebraska, it's like that. And the depth at their lineup, they have the ability just to get some guys some great experience, and having that experience of already wrestling those teams this year gives you some flexibility.
You know, that list, only Maryland is not ranked in the top 25. Indiana 23, Wisconsin 25. Everybody else is top 13 or higher. So you are going to be tested each and every week.
You know, I thought when Maryland came into the Big Ten, I thought, wow, that's great for basketball, but their wrestling team used to be like ACC champs.
Yeah.
I was like, this went from being an ACC champs to being the Big Ten, mountain climbing. Like this is, people just don't understand this is the real deal.
It's a different landscape. And that's not to say that the ACC does not have great wrestling. They do. And we saw NC State, Virginia Tech. There are some really quality programs all around the nation. Kharchla with the escape here. And the third period to go up 11-7. Gilcher actually has the ride time advantage here at 18 seconds, not a factor.
Well, he's going to have to make some things happen under a minute.
Well, the way scoring goes, takedown with some near fall, all of a sudden you're on top. He's down 4 points right now. And there will be no riding time in this match.
Both over 7, or both in the 70 range of all-time wins. They've been in these situations.
Kharchla, as talked about back in the first period, he is so tough to score on. And so in a situation like this, leading by 3, under 30 seconds to go, you are really, as the opponent, going to have to press and maybe take some chances in non-ideal spots and situations. And when you do that against a guy like Kharchla, who is so defensively sound, your chances are pretty slim.
No doubt, and that's going to close it out.
11-7 the final. Buckeyes go up 30-0 here in this duel against the Indiana Hoosiers. Carson Kharchla scored his points early and makes it stand up throughout the 7 minutes to get the decision victory. We'll be back.
And then he also had number 3, of course, Angelo Ferreira, who we all know of Iowa, where he lost that match as well. That's it. That's the only blemishes sitting on his record right now, where he is 11-2.
I think we got another finger in the eye there or something, and Goin obviously is in some discomfort. They're going to bring the trainer out to check things out for him. He's two-time state champion, Goin, was a recruit of the 2023 class, but deferred enrolling until 2024. 9-2 last year as a redshirt. And I'm not sure exactly what happened there, if it was a finger that went into the eye or something, but those kind of things can really be disoriented. Sometimes you just get a knock in there and it's painful, but other times if you get that swipe across the cornea or something like that, it can really knock you down.
Yeah, he's got to take a second to regain his vision.
Yeah, looked like maybe the thumb there of Fishback got into that eye during a lock-up, and they're right back to it now.
We'll see him going also Crown Point product.
For those on this roster, Crown Point has become one of the premier programs in the Hoosier State. For Fishback, ranked number 6, 11-2 so far from Aurora.
Showing pure strength right there.
Absolutely.
Talked about the strength and conditioning program here at Ohio State. It's about as elite as it gets across all sports.
Fishback twice a runner-up in the ACC tournament. He's got a twin sister who's a volleyball player in college here in Ohio. It's an athletic family. Continuing to ride hard here and building up some riding time near the out-of-bounds line, keeping that right foot inside the cylinder to make sure that that clock keeps ticking, and now they're out of bounds.
Dylan's probably overcome the biggest task that he had, and that was being born with the last name Fishback. That's probably not the best wrestling last name.
There's a lot working against you there. I don't think there's any doubt about that, but he has certainly turned that on its head, no doubt about it.
It's like an oxymoron almost for him.
Yeah, maybe he took it personal. Still on top here. Just over a minute and a half to go in the first period. Going to his feet, trying to keep those feet and break the lock. And finally does, gets the escape. 3-1 the score. Going ranked number 16 is a redshirt freshman for Indiana. Seems to indicate that there's a bright future.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive to have such a strong ranking with, this point of the season not having a lot of match time.
Now, rankings are opinions. There are several different houses that put out rankings, but when you wrestle at a school like Indiana, with all due respect to the Hoosiers, Fishback looking for a second takedown, but a switch here. A situation with a lot of movement, but nothing comes of it. There's just cow catcher throw over. Fishback looking for the fall, and he gets it. Second pin for the Buckeyes today. Stiles had the first. You talked about the first takedown, just strength and power. That's just old country hardball right there.
Yeah, just smooth as it gets right there. Mat awareness, understanding where he was on the mat, making sure he's in bounds. I think that's a win right there. I mean, that's a big win.
Yes.
That's not an expected fall, I would say. Coach Ryan's talking about how do we get better at find a way to get a win here. He's on a 2-match skid. And lost a match in Iowa State and Oregon State.
Well, you talked about Tom Ryan talking about taking the next step to the next level. There are a few guys on this roster, and Geog is one of them, who's looking for more consistency, just getting to your top level and staying there on a match-to-match basis. There's some matches where it's dominant. There's a shot from distance. Able to cover that distance. Geog still a ways away from a takedown here. A tight waist roll through from Sollars. And now trying to go heavy on the hips, but not heavy enough. As Geog was able to pinch that ankle under his knee and now gets the takedown.
Yep. Had to clear that knee. He might have got a little deeper than he anticipated on that shot.
I think maybe you're right. Look what I found, huh?
Yeah. Sometimes that happens. These guys don't. That sprawl comes and they end up getting a little deeper.
And now for Geog, obviously a good takedown here in the early going, but the consistency is, okay, now let's do that for 7 minutes. Don't have any lapses. Don't let your foot come off the pedal. He fell behind significantly in his last match at Oregon State before rallying back to tie the match and send it into overtime. Ultimately fell in extra time against Justin Rademacher. Lost in the rideouts. 8-7 was the final score.
Well, Gabe Sollars is familiar with the Buckeyes this season. He did lose to Seth Shoemate 13-3. So give himself a little gauge.
Well, we talked about there the two previous weight classes we talked about that are still kind of up in the air as to who is going to ultimately be the guy. Geog has gotten most of the time this year, but you do have to consider all the options there, and Seth Shoemate certainly is one at 197 pounds. And that's that's the real benefit of one of the top tier programs is depth in the lineup, depth in the room. If somebody goes out with injury or if there's a lack of performance, you've got somebody else you can plug in and still feel very, very good about your chances when you send a guy out there. And the top 5 teams, top 10 teams in the country, they've got that.
Oh yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it in this lineup. You see it, at Penn State. It's like when your toughest match might be your wrestle off for your weight class or the weight class below you or above you.
Sollars in front headlock position on his knees. Not really creating much angle, but he's certainly trying to squeeze some life out of Geog here.
A 3-1 match. Only not really any riding time to speak of. 15 seconds. I'd say Sam's got to feel pretty good. Oh, sorry, I'm one match behind here. Gabe Sollars here.
There's the end of the first period. And indeed, so for that first period, the first 3 minutes, Geog made good use of one good shot. And outside of that, there was a lot of feeling out going on. So Sollars will take bottom to begin the second period. Try to get a quick escape and make this a one-point match. One of the things to keep an eye on as well that we didn't see a ton of in the first period, but a little bit, Sollars taking ground, having Geog backing up a little bit in that last minute of the first period.
Sollars is an NCAA qualifier. We're talking about a guy, it's ranked 14, but certainly has a ton of experience. I mean, he's 71 wins, looking for 72 here today.
Shot by Geog again, and again in deep. And there's the takedown call. Able to corral both legs there, high on the left side, low on the right. Once he controlled them both, got the takedown.
Sollars walked out with third place at the Midlands, winning his last 2 matches.
Quick sit out easily to his feet. 6-3 match. And there's another shot by Geog, who appears to be willing to push the pace here in this match. Sollars trying to keep him from getting the angle. Geog has those kind of hips rolled over. So now if you're Sollars, you got to work farther toward the ankles, which he is doing. He's got one bound up, trying to bind up both Geog's ankles. We're probably going to get a stalemate out of this if there's not any movement moving forward.
Well, it's smart wrestling. Go in there and got to get yourself back in a position where you can score.
Potentially dangerous there with Sollars pulling on that